Fame does not protect anyone from danger. Over the years, some well-known celebrities have disappeared without a trace. Their cases remain unsolved, and no one knows where they are or what really happened to them. In this video, we'll look at 5 real stories of celebrities who are still missing in 2025. Cases that remain a mystery with more questions than answers. It was July 2002 in the South Pacific. Former National Basketball Association, NBA player Bison Dele, once known as Brian Williams, was living his dream of sailing the world on his 55-foot catamaran, the Hakuna Matata. After retiring from basketball, he left behind fame and fortune for a quieter, more adventurous life. He was traveling with his girlfriend, Serena Carlin, his brother, Kevin Williams, and the boat's captain, Bertrand Saldo. But something went terribly wrong. Bison, a 6'11" center, had been a first-round draft pick in 1991 and played for the Orlando Magic, Denver Nuggets, Los Angeles Clippers, and Chicago Bulls. He won an NBA championship with the Bulls in 1997, but walked away from the game at age 30, turning down millions. His decision wasn't forced. He simply wanted to live life on his own terms. Despite his success, Bison was known for his unpredictable personality and struggles with mental health. Teammates recalled moments when his behavior was erratic, including an incident where he attempted to open an emergency exit mid-flight. Still, he was charming, free-spirited, and determined to embrace life beyond basketball. By the summer of 2002, Bison, Serena, Kevin, and Bertrand had been sailing the South Pacific, enjoying the isolation of the open ocean. But by July 8th, all communication stopped. Family and friends who were used to regular check-ins became concerned. Weeks passed with no sign of them. On July 20th, Kevin returned to the United States alone, raising suspicions with his evasiveness. When asked about Bison and the others, he gave no clear explanation. Investigators discovered he had forged Bison's signature and used his passport to buy $152,000 worth of gold in Phoenix. The Federal Bureau of Investigation got involved and found the Hakuna Matata, but bullet holes patched up quickly suggested a violent confrontation had occurred. As pressure mounted, Kevin provided a disturbing account. He claimed that during an argument, Serena was accidentally injured while trying to break up the fight and passed away. Bertrand, the captain, wanted to report it, which led to a conflict where Bison allegedly acted out of desperation. Kevin said he was forced to defend himself, and that in the end, he disposed of the bodies at sea. Despite his confession, investigators doubted his story. It had inconsistencies, and without physical evidence, it was impossible to confirm what truly happened. But before authorities could push further, Kevin overdosed on insulin in September 2002. He fell into a coma and passed away shortly after, taking any remaining answers with him. The disappearance of Bison Dele remains one of the greatest mysteries in NBA history. Did Kevin act alone? Was there more to the story than he admitted? And what really happened on that boat? Bison's mother, Patricia Phillips, struggled with the unknown. She never blamed one son over the other, but was left with the painful reality that she would never know the full truth. She once reflected on the situation, acknowledging the loss of her sons, and the fact that neither of them could ever reveal what had happened. Bison Dele's life was filled with success, adventure, and ultimately tragedy. His decision to leave basketball, his complicated family dynamics, and his desire for a different kind of life all seemed to play a role in his fate. The unanswered questions still linger. What if Kevin had never returned alone? What if investigators had uncovered the full truth before his death? Would this mystery have had a different ending? We may never know. But one thing is certain. The story of Bison Dele will never be forgotten. It was January 5th, 2006, in Bremerton, Washington, when 18-year-old Joe Pichler made his last phone call. A former child actor, he had been out with friends the night before playing cards and drinking. He seemed fine, but at 4:15 a.m., he called a friend in distress, crying and promising to call back in an hour. That call never came. After that, no one ever heard from Joe again. Joe was known for his roles in Varsity Blues in 1999 and Beethoven's Third and Fourth from 2000 to 2001. But at 15, he stepped away from acting and returned home to Bremerton in 2002. He finished high school, graduated in 2005, and took a job at Teletech. He lived on his own, enjoying simple hobbies like playing Magic the Gathering and caring for his pet guinea pig. Despite this, he planned to return to Hollywood once his braces were removed in a month or two. After Joe's disappearance, his silver 2005 Toyota Corolla was found near the Port Madison Narrows on January 9th, with his clothes and cell phone inside, but his wallet and keys missing. A 2-page note offering his belongings to his younger sibling was left behind, but his family didn't see it as a farewell. His mother, Kathy, pointed out the lack of a direct goodbye or indication of self-harm. His apartment was also found unlocked with the lights still on, unusual for him. The night before, he had been joking and playing cards, showing no signs of distress. His sister Shauna was convinced there was more to the story. She believed he was likely too embarrassed to come home. In her view, the worst-case scenario would involve foul play, but she was certain it wasn't self-harm. Law enforcement initially suspected Joe may have ended his own life, possibly jumping from a bridge into the Port Madison Narrows. Lead investigator Detective Robbie Davis stated there was a good indication of this, but admitted there wasn't enough evidence to confirm it. No scent trail was found near the bridge, and despite extensive searches, Joe's body was never recovered. His family, however, doubted this theory. Kathy felt the investigation was rushed and poorly handled. She claimed police barely searched his apartment and prematurely ruled out other possibilities. She also noticed that some of Joe's belongings, including his Magic the Gathering cards, were missing. To her, this suggested something had happened that the police overlooked. As time passed, the case went cold. In 2008, Shauna reflected on the pain of not knowing her brother's fate. While people say time heals, it only feels true with knowledge of the person's whereabouts. The loneliness she felt was the hardest part, as media attention faded and people moved on, but the pain for her family never ended. Joe's family never gave up searching. Kathy continued to raise awareness, pushing for answers. She also worked to help other families facing similar situations. Though she criticized how the police handled Joe's case, she acknowledged that missing persons investigations in Bremerton had improved since then. Joe's fans also remembered him. In 2008, people recalled his performances in Beethoven's Third and Fourth. On the 25th anniversary of Varsity Blues, discussions about his disappearance resurfaced on social media, with people hoping that someone, somewhere, might have new information. To this day, Joe Pichler remains missing. His family still believes he did not run away and continues searching for answers. He would now be 37 years old. Why was Joe's car abandoned near the water? Why did his note seem inconsistent with the police's theory? Did investigators overlook key evidence? And most importantly, could Joe still be out there somewhere, waiting to be found? It was April 2019 when actress Zoe McLellan, known for her roles in NCIS New Orleans and JAG, suddenly disappeared. The 44-year-old actress vanished along with her 8-year-old son, Sebastian Guillain, in the middle of a heated custody battle with her ex-husband, Jean-Pierre J.P. Guillain. The situation raised many questions, but answers were hard to find. Zoe and J.P. had been battling for custody since 2017, when she took Sebastian to Toronto despite a legal agreement to stay in the United States. While this wasn't illegal, it created tension between them. Things escalated when Zoe accused JP of mistreating their son, making the custody fight even more intense. By April 2019, communication between Zoe and her ex-husband stopped. JP hadn't heard from her or Sebastian in weeks, and Zoe, who was usually active on social media, suddenly went silent after April 11th. Concerned, JP alerted authorities, but her whereabouts remained unknown. A search began, but months passed with no leads. In May 2021, an arrest warrant was issued for Zoe over child custody interference, and the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children listed Sebastian as missing, last seen on April 16, 2019. Despite efforts, Zoe remained elusive. Zoe and JP's legal battle had already attracted attention, but her disappearance made things more complicated. JP claimed she falsely accused him, leading to his arrest. He spent 4 months in jail before the charges were dropped. During his time in jail, Zoe allegedly spoke to a guard about how to handle JP, raising doubts about her intentions. Around this time, Zoe reconnected with Charlie Barber, a man she had met years earlier while filming NCIS New Orleans. Charlie, a father himself, initially reached out to support her campaign for children who had allegedly suffered mistreatment. Over time, Zoe and Sebastian spent more time with him in Franklinton, Louisiana. At first, everything seemed fine. But as Charlie got to know Zoe better, he started noticing inconsistencies in her stories. She claimed Sebastian was terrified of his father and refused to go outside, but Charlie never saw any fear in the boy. In fact, Sebastian was comfortable playing with Charlie's son and seemed eager to spend time with them. Zoe often praised Sebastian for speaking out against JP, though the boy didn't seem to understand. She made odd requests, like asking Charlie to watch Sebastian during a funeral, despite claiming her son didn't trust men. She also imposed a strange rule that no one could cut Sebastian's hair due to past trauma, yet his hair grew without issue. Charlie also noticed Zoe's unusual behavior. She claimed to have psychic abilities and often talked about money mysteriously appearing in her account. She used different names and once checked into a New Orleans hotel under the alias Sarah Chandler, saying she was in danger. One incident stood out to Charlie. In April 2020, they were at a hotel pool when Sebastian asked to go inside to play a video game. Zoe asked Charlie to go with him, which seemed odd given her past claims about Sebastian being uncomfortable around men. This contradiction made Charlie question everything she had told him. By the end of April 2020, Charlie had enough. He distanced himself from Zoe and later reached out to JP on Facebook, sharing his concerns. He soon learned that JP's lawyer had already gathered similar information. The evidence painted a troubling picture. Zoe had repeatedly told Charlie she would do whatever it took to keep Sebastian away from JP. This realization made Charlie uneasy about how far she might go. Since 2020, Charlie has had no contact with Zoe. Their last conversation was an emotional phone call before she completely disappeared from his life. Her social media remained inactive and no one knew where she was. Authorities are still searching for Zoe and Sebastian. JP, alongside his legal team, continues working with the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office and the Los Angeles Police Department's Child Abduction Unit. But despite their efforts, the case remains unsolved. Where are Zoe and Sebastian? Are they deliberately hiding, or is there more to the story? Did Zoe truly believe her son was at risk, or was she shaping a narrative to justify her actions? For now, the truth remains a mystery. But if Zoe is ever found, what will we learn about her disappearance and the real story behind it? It was October 29, 2022, in Barcelona, Spain. Levi Davis, a 24-year-old professional rugby player, had traveled there for a short break. He had played for teams like Bath and Worthing Raiders but was recovering from a knee injury that had put his career on hold. After spending time in Ibiza with a friend, he arrived in Barcelona alone, planning to explore before moving on. However, what was meant to be a brief trip soon turned into a baffling mystery. Levi was last seen leaving the Old Irish Pub, a well-known spot near La Rambla. Closed-circuit television footage captured him walking out at around 10:05 p.m. He had only been inside for about 35 minutes, enjoying a drink while watching a football match. After leaving, he walked down the busy street before heading toward the port area. That was the last confirmed sighting of him. What happened after that remains unknown. Levi's family became alarmed when he failed to make contact. His friend Richard Squire, who had last seen him in Ibiza, reported him missing to Barcelona authorities. However, the initial response was slow, leaving Levi's loved ones frustrated and desperate for answers. Then, a chilling development emerged. Passengers on a cruise ship near Barcelona's port reported seeing a man struggling in the water. He was calling for help in English, and crew members threw a lifebuoy toward him. But when emergency responders searched the area, no one was found. The man in distress matched Levi's description, leading to concerns that he may have fallen into the sea. Further evidence seemed to support this theory. Levi's phone signal was last detected near the port. A few days later, his passport was discovered abandoned on a bench nearby. Despite extensive searches by divers, no trace of him was ever found. As weeks passed, more unsettling details surfaced, suggesting that Levi's disappearance might not have been an accident. Just days before he vanished, he had posted a video online revealing that he was being blackmailed. He claimed he had been secretly recorded in a vulnerable situation and that the footage was being used to control him. In the video, Levi looked afraid, stating that if he spoke out, his safety, and that of his family, could be at risk. This revelation shocked his loved ones. They had no idea he had been facing such threats. The question now was, did his disappearance have anything to do with this? Private investigator Gavin Burrows later uncovered more troubling information. Reports suggested that Levi had been targeted by a criminal group, possibly tied to organized crime. The blackmail appeared to be linked to a significant debt he owed. There were even claims that he and his family had been threatened. However, despite these discoveries, police made little progress. The theory that Levi had drowned remained their main focus, though no evidence confirmed this. Levi's mother, Julie Davis, grew increasingly frustrated. She criticized the lack of urgency in the investigation, believing that important details were being overlooked. She also revealed that Levi had been struggling with personal challenges, including financial difficulties and discrimination in his career. These pressures, combined with the blackmail, may have deeply affected him. Further investigation revealed more suspicious details. Levi had reportedly been in contact with dangerous individuals and had been followed and harassed. Additionally, 38 contacts were deleted from his Instagram account after he went missing, suggesting an attempt to erase evidence. Despite these clues, the investigation stalled. Authorities leaned toward the theory that Levi had accidentally fallen into the sea, though no body was found. In early 2023, police announced the case was inactive unless new evidence emerged, but his family refused to accept this conclusion. Then, something unexpected happened. On December 15, 2022, almost 2 months after Levi vanished, a friend sent him a simple message. "Please come home. I love you and miss you." What happened next was chilling. The message was marked as read. This raised new questions. Did this mean Levi was still alive? Was he in hiding, possibly trying to escape those who had threatened him? If he was safe, why hadn't he reached out? Or could someone else have accessed his phone? At the time of writing, Levi Davis is still missing. His disappearance has left investigators with more questions than answers. While some believe he fell into the sea, others suspect something far more sinister. His family continues to search for the truth, holding on to hope that one day they will find him, or at least uncover what really happened that night in Barcelona. It was July 6, 1983, in Cocoa Beach, Florida. Tammy Lynn Leppert, an 18-year-old model and aspiring actress, vanished without a trace. Her sudden disappearance remains one of Florida's most puzzling mysteries. In the days leading up to it, she seemed deeply afraid. What happened to Tammy, and why was she so paranoid? Tammy was born on February 5, 1965, in Rockledge, Florida. From a young age, she excelled in beauty pageants, winning nearly 280 titles out of 300 competitions. With her blonde hair, hazel eyes, and charisma, she transitioned into modeling and later pursued acting. By the early 1980s, Tammy's career was gaining momentum. She had minor roles in movies like Little Darlings and in 1983's Scarface, starring Al Pacino. In Scarface, she played a bikini-clad girl who distracted a lookout in a tense scene. Though small, the role was a step toward her Hollywood dreams. But after filming Spring Break in 1983, Tammy changed. She attended a cast party, and from that night on, she became extremely anxious. She avoided certain people and refused to say what had scared her. Her mother, Linda Curtis, noticed the change and asked if someone was trying to harm her. Tammy simply said, Yes, but wouldn't share more. Her paranoia grew worse. Despite her fears, she traveled to Miami to film Scarface, staying with a family friend, Walter Leibowitz. On set, a scene involving artificial blood caused her to break down in tears. She was so shaken that she had to leave filming early. Walter later urged Linda to seek professional help for Tammy. Back in Florida, Tammy's anxiety deepened. She refused to eat or drink anything she hadn't prepared herself, convinced someone was trying to harm her. On July 1st, 1983, her fear escalated. She broke windows at home and had a heated argument with her friend, Wing Flanagan. Unable to manage her behavior, Linda took Tammy to a mental health center for evaluation. Doctors found no signs of drug or alcohol use. After 72 hours of observation, she was released, but her fear never faded. She mentioned witnessing something terrible at a party, but never gave details. Some believed she had seen something illegal and felt unsafe. Just 5 days later, Tammy left home with a male friend, reportedly named Keith. He later claimed they argued and she asked to be dropped off near the Glass Bank building in Cocoa Beach, about 5 miles from her home. That was the last confirmed sighting of her. Surveillance footage showed Tammy standing alone in a parking lot near the Glass Bank. She then walked to a nearby gas station and tried calling her aunt and a friend, leaving urgent messages, but she never reached them. After that, she was never seen again. Tammy was last seen wearing a blue denim skirt and a blue shirt with flower appliques. Some reports suggest she was barefoot, which was unusual for her. Linda later claimed Tammy had feared the friend who drove her that day, but he was never named a suspect. Over the years, investigators explored several theories. One possibility linked her to Christopher Wilder, an Australian-born criminal known for targeting young women under the pretense of offering modeling opportunities. Given Tammy's background, some believed he may have been involved. However, no direct evidence connected him to her. He was later killed in a police confrontation in 1984. Another suspect was John Brennan Crutchley, a convicted kidnapper who was active in Florida at the time. Authorities suspected him in the disappearances of multiple women, but no solid link to Tammy was ever found. He died in prison in 2002. Linda had her own theory. Tammy may have been targeted because she knew something about local criminal activity. Tammy had mentioned money laundering and feared being harmed. Some believed she overheard something at the party that put her at risk, but this was never proven. Decades later, her case remains unsolved. Forensic age progression images and ongoing investigations have led nowhere. Her deoxyribonucleic acid, DNA, is on record, but due to poor documentation, her dental records and fingerprints were lost. What happened to Tammy? Did she encounter the wrong person or know something dangerous? The truth remains unknown, leaving her disappearance a haunting mystery.